The past decade has left the Indian consumer in no doubt that he is king as far as choice is concerned. The explosion of malls, brands and a disposable income has acclaimed brands flocking to the country, wooing the discerning Indian shopper. If the organized retail sector was to take this as a sign of good times, the boom of the nascent e-retail industry has just sounded the wake-up call that cannot be ignored.
Snapdeal.com, get the best deals and pay cash.
At the recently concluded e-retail congress organized by Franchise India and Bloomberg UTV, it was time to finally acknowledge the changing paradigm of the new trade.
You know, when I shared my early excitement with the retailers in this country, I got a very lukewarm response from them. Retail industry in India is about a $500 billion business in which organized retail is about 10% and online retail is about less than 0.5%. So at Retailer, we decided to take the whole research to the market. 89% people told us that shopping online saved them time. About 65% said that they were shopping online because they felt it was cost effective and saved them a lot of money. Tier 2, interestingly, 55% people said they were shopping online because they were getting wide access to goods which otherwise they did not get in their cities. 60% shoppers said that they would compromise on some lapses in a courier delay or something if 50% was off on that product. What we came across from a consumer category was that the age of the couch consumer is probably going to be emerging a lot more than probably the consumer who will walk down to the next mall. We felt that the whole business model really is about 25% based upon technology. The rest, 75 to 80%, is based upon retail. With all due regard I have to technology entrepreneurs who will be here, and particularly the ones who may be looking to start up this business, it is really has a lot to do with retail. As much at this time you will probably need to think of it that there's more retail at play here than technology if this business has to go on for a very, very long term.
Inaugurating the event, Dr. Ajay Kumar from the Ministry of Communications and IT outlined the regulatory framework and policies drafted by the Government of India to encourage and invest in the e-retail sector.
Government is opening FDI in the retail sector. Single brand has been notified. Multi-brand has not, as we all know, has run into some problems, but we hope that is going to change as we go along. GST, one of the huge problems that we have in terms of logistics and infrastructure, cascading effects of various taxes that you go from various states, districts, municipalities, etc. GST is going to address those issues, and hopefully GST will happen sooner than later. So these are creating a framework which I think gives us very encouraging signs for what is likely to be, why e-retail is likely to grow further. Yet I think what we have done is still very short of what needs to be done. And there are issues and challenges. To create those changes, there is efforts going on within the government to see how you can get adoption of such e-services more easily. These kiosks are not only meant to deliver government services, but they were equally meant to deliver B2C services. This was the first indication of government thinking of how technology could actually be used to deliver business services or retail services or any other form of services beyond government services through the use of technology.
One of the pioneers of online shopping in India, Home Shop 18, commands an impressive presence among internet and tele shoppers. The key to a successful business model rests on understanding the consumers and connecting with them intelligently.
GST, the optical fiber scheme, these are critical for not just the growth of the industry, but I think growth of consumerism and making the life of the consumers a little easy. Many a times we don't even realize how quickly things are changing around us. And e-tailing is all about that new change. If you really see the US market, for retail and infrastructure to really grow, it's taken America about 50 years. But in India, in the same year, you've got a Walmart, a QVC, and an Amazon all getting built at the same time. it's dramatically different. I think what's happening in India all around us is we are slow to adapt as consumers, but when we do, we are the fastest to pick up things. I think the need of the hour is to invest behind credibility and trust. The second thing is about consumerism. We may have internet connections, we may have television households, we may have broadband, but we are still not spending enough. I think as professionals, as entrepreneurs, as affiliates, the most important thing is to drive consumption.
The e-retail congress was packed to the brim, with sessions and speakers sharing their experiences and learnings. Kicking off the two-day proceedings was a session aptly focused on online consumption trends.
I sit back pretty much every day and say that the online customer is very intelligent. The good news is that it's easy to access folks like us online, and the bad news is that it's easy to access folks like us online. 20 portals are a click away. That's the bad news. So that's the good news and that's the bad news. Within that lies various learning. So fashion, lifestyle, product, there is no touch and feel. So how do you get the customer to experience something? What you see is what I get is our mantra. I should be able to present the product in a manner that's what the customer will buy and that's what the customer will experience and get. Keep the entire experience online and offline equally good. I think a lot of us sort of think that, okay, let's get the online experience right, forget offline. Get things like return policies, cash on delivery, get the model as flexible as possible. At this point, get people to try, and that's the focus for, I think, all of us in e-commerce. Get folks to try.
I think you need to compare with offline. When I go buy at an offline store, I want the product, I get it right away. It's not like I order and then next moment somebody calls and tells me, oh, this product is not available. So you can never beat offline. So you need to set that as your benchmark. When we try to sort of manipulate the customer around, oh, you pay first, and that's why I think cash on delivery rocks. I mean, fundamentally, I get a product and I pay for it. I mean, what's wrong about it? Why do I need to pay before I get the product? You need to just do cash on delivery right.
I think my take on cash on delivery is slightly different. My take on cash on delivery is it's a function of what we are selling today online. There are standard products which are mostly brand new fixed price. There are products like books, mobiles, watches, sunglasses, etc., etc. As you go into more and more unstandard products, and you get into variety being what defines the product range and what's available online and what customers would choose from, I think cash on delivery would begin to lose its significance, because frankly from a financial architecture standpoint, it would be really tough for any online retailer to be able to provide both variety as well as the ability to do cash on delivery at the same time. I think some of these business models will evolve. I personally think that business models which push customers towards online payments, ensure that customers truly enjoy the benefits of e-commerce, which is, you have monthly installments which they can use on high value purchases. You have the convenience of making a payment online as opposed to being at home when the delivery is being made at your particular house to be able to pay cash on delivery. All of these items, I think, create friction in the process, and therefore, I'm a believer that the future of e-commerce in India is actually not going to be driven by cash on delivery but by electronic payments.
Managing and optimizing digital assets can be the key differentiator among the online retail sites that strike it big.
Great deals on India's coolest online mall.
In his presentation, Umang Bedi from Adobe Systems drew attention to building online strategy as well as having the digital resources to back it.
What I was talking about today inherently was focused upon building the right e-tail strategy built on 3 pillars of e-commerce, the way we look at it. And the first one is creating a very personalized engagement with the user. So not giving the user just store and forward straight content off the website, but trying to use intelligence to gather anonymously who the user is, or if the person has logged in, give a very clear personalized engagement basis his or her preferences. The second was really helping retailers build the right strategy across multiples of channels. So a multi-channel brand management and a digital marketing or an advertising strategy across search, digital display, Facebook and social. And the third area was really about marrying their online and offline data. So there's a lot of data that they gather about their customers online, and there's a lot of data that they gather through point of sale systems, through various customer relationship management systems, and can they bring all of that data together, analyze it, derive insight, and then action out that insight, and improve that over time with benchmarking.
From what was a very small industry when we started in 1999, today it's a large booming industry, but there are a few challenges, there are a few risks, and the big risk here is the fact that a whole lot of companies are, in my view, probably overspending to acquire customers at any cost. That's very, very risky strategy.
Coming up, a look at how discounts and funding are shaping the e-retail industry. With 2 million products available online and a projected 38 million active online shoppers expected by 2015, the e-retail industry is already taking a big share out of the pie from the traditional organized sector. Much of this share has come from younger shoppers accustomed to the internet who keenly track best prices and deals on offer. Will deals and discounts offered on online sites be a bigger threat than FDI in retail, or will it in fact sound the death knell for online retail?
I fundamentally believe that our e-commerce industry per se has gone through two distinct cycles. One was fueled primarily by travel and the traditional businesses that we've seen coming online in the earlier cycle. The second push that we've seen to the e-commerce industry really started with the value commerce businesses and started first in the private sales kind of model, which started with deep discounting, and then evolved on to the group buying space, which again focused on deep discounting. So I think that is the second wave that has actually brought Indian consumers to, let's say, it's activated their value consciousness and said, hey, that's a great deal, right? And has brought them to the point of purchasing online, despite their initial, let's say, inhibitions, because it was brought over the curb, literally, by the fact that there was great value proposition to go with it. So yes, I think deals fundamentally fits wonderfully into the Indian, let's say, consumers' ethos.
We've had, for the last 3.5 to 4 years, had a great deal of experience with deals. I must say, without any doubt, that deals and discounts, they do work. There's no question about it. The question is that, when a brand looks at deals and discounts to use it as a tool for marketing, what is the depth? What is the length, the period? How deep would the discounts or the offers be? And what is that period in which it should be offered? I think that is critical.
From my perspective, the way you look at the discount is the way you perceive it. It's right now a stage where you're trying to get the consumer to get addictive to buying online. So if I get used to typing a URL, my first instance is I'll type that URL and go for it. I will go for it and check, and yes, of course, the service, whether that was good. How do you get him addicted? It has to be something that he keeps realizing there is value for money in that what is happening. At the end of the day, if I look at it from an online e-commerce portal perspective, I believe there are a couple of triggers that will happen for every consumer. And those triggers could be, is it a good bargain? Is it real value for money that I'm getting out of it? It could be convenience that you look at. And again, I'd say bargain would be there. If the bargain is there, it adds to an impulse.
A lot many times people who are facing this industry tend to be a bit unreasonable about their expectations from this industry. And forgive me for saying that, but we're only about 2 years old, right? It's not that we've been in this business for decades and still haven't figured what to do. So I think India has skipped a lot of evolutionary steps while developing the e-commerce market, which otherwise the Western worlds have experienced. And we've suddenly gone from an established travel e-commerce market, which is the first uptake, to suddenly buying everything and all of it being horizontal, no verticalization whatsoever. Even if it is, it only lasts till the second round of funding. So from that perspective, it's still very, very early days, and I think no one can claim to understand this as well as the consumer does, and maybe you guys know the answer that we haven't figured out.
In a sector that has witnessed 100% month-on-month growth in India, funding into e-commerce has seen a surge, leading to a 147% increase in PE investment in the last 1 year itself. With 77 million internet users waiting to be tapped, it's clear that investors want to ride the growth wave. Here are some insights from those that back the business.
Really, there are 4 key criteria that I think any investor looks for. Okay, I call them the 3 T's and the M. The 3 T's are, first and foremost, that in India especially, it's very, very pertinent, is the team. Perhaps it's cliche, it's overly used. Technology, not for technology's sake, but technology is really a proxy for differentiation. Third is traction. Now, a lot of times entrepreneurs will come and say, yeah, look, I'm caught in this catch-22. I need money to show traction. I need traction to get money from you. How do I break this, this conundrum? So I have something called a framework which I call the credibility continuum. What that means is when you don't have anything, when there are 2, 3, 4 guys and gals in a garage starting something up, at that point, what you have to sell is passion. And hopefully, using that passion, you've been able to incent or attract other employees or co-founders who've given up cushy jobs, making crore plus a year, saying, I believe in this vision, I believe in this passion, I'm going to make it happen, I'm going to change the world.
It's a KPC. So K stands for, the first thing that I look for is, do you really know why you're doing this, right? And how you're going to do it pretty much. So the first one, in the sense, do you know which products you're going to sell? That's the number one. What's your positioning? You really need to know how you're going to differentiate yourself in the market. That's the number one thing that I look for. The third thing is, what is going to be a sustainable competitive advantage, right? You need to figure out a way, either by virtue of your products or the way you sell them or the customer segment that you're targeting, which will eventually become your competitive advantage, and how you can sustain it over time. Number 2 is have a plan. It's amazing how many entrepreneurs I meet who say we're looking for funding but don't have a plan. The first thing we look at before we put money in a company is, can you get money out of the company? The first thing we look at is, can I exit? And the reason for this is very clear. I have a fiduciary responsibility to my investors. There are only 3 ways I can exit a company. We are not allowed to give you debt. So we can only invest in equity, which means I'll give you money and you'll give me a sheet of paper which says, I have so many shares. What do I do with the shares? I can't eat the shares, I have to sell the shares. Who can I sell the shares to? There are only 3 people I can sell it to. I can sell it back to you. That's called a management buyout. There are 2 other exits possible. One is to find a trade sale, either to a strategic investor or to an investor bigger than us. So what allows us to sell a company there is, when you become a leader in the field, it becomes very easy to sell you. The third option is, are you big enough, is to go public. We're a small fund. Rather than look at companies that get into a sector which is large, we look at companies that are a leader in a non-existent sector and create a sector around them and become number 1 in the sector in 5 years' time.
Marketing is one of the largest spends on internet these days for e-commerce companies, right? And how to kind of optimize that, make that more efficient. Track your marketing campaigns on a daily basis, because it's a heavy investment out every day, and deep dive into analytics as much as you can, and make your loyal base of customers, and don't run after scale, but try and get your company loved in some way.
Looking forward, we see 4 key trends shaping how e-commerce in India evolves. The first one is the growing importance of mobile and mobile commerce in creating a whole new generation of empowered smart shoppers who reach for their phone before they reach for their wallet regardless of where they're shopping. The second one is the influence of social media in the way people form their decisions pre-purchase as well as the way they interact with the brand post-purchase. We believe there is a secret sauce out there and that quite hasn't been cracked yet, but that could lead to a whole new wave of opportunity being unlocked for e-commerce in India. The third one is what we call the Bharat opportunity, the opportunity from the smaller towns and villages, tier 2, tier 3 and the rest of the country. And the last one is actually about brands. We believe e-commerce will become even more mainstream when all the popular brands that we've all grown up with and tend to recognize as Indian consumers start adopting e-commerce in a large scale and get the benefits of that brand, overcome distribution inefficiencies that they already see in the offline market and reach the remote corners of this country.
Coming up, the best of the online shopping experience.
Awards still to be given away.
Finally, it was time to honor the best of the e-retail experience at the Indian E-Retail Awards 2012. Here's a look at those who walked away with the top honors.
Award, the first award in this category is Gifting E-Retailer of the Year. And this award goes to Ferns and Petals. Well, flowers anywhere, anytime, don't we all know it? Congratulations.
Going forward, I think apart from fresh flower, cakes, soft toys and chocolate, which has been our focus, we would want to shift to hampers, we would want to shift to perfumes, jewelries, plants, lucky bamboos and so on to add on to our existing inventory and make it a much more bigger success than what we were last year.
This award that's coming up is Pure Play E-Retailer of the Year and it goes to eBay.
We are focused on providing a fantastic opportunity for entrepreneurs to leverage the eBay marketplace platform in reaching not just a national but a global audience. And from a consumer's perspective, we'd like to be the best destination that delivers the best possible variety of products at the greatest possible value.
Our next award is the most innovative e-retailer and it goes to GitanjaliGifts.com. Congratulations.
Well, the award means a lot for the company, which has made a significant foray in the last 6 months into e-retail. We have been into e-retail for almost 4 years, wherein we started out by putting our each brands online, but that was more like being online presence. Last 6 months, we actually realized that there's a huge potential in online retail.
Our next award is Debutant E-Retailer of the Year, and it goes to OneBazaar.com.
This being the first award for us, being a Debutant Retailer of the Year, it's a big acknowledgement and we will definitely improve ourselves and make it a Retailer of the Year next year.
Our next award is E-Retailer of the Year, Value for Deals, and it goes to Snapdeal.com, India's fastest growing e-commerce company.
I think it's a result of 800 strong, very, very young, dynamic team that we have at Snapdeal. Thank you.
Thank you again, e-commerce industry, for making us the best, and thank you everyone for this. It's a testimony of team's hard work.
Our next award is E-Retailer of the Year, and it goes to Home Shop 18. Congratulations.
Any effort in recognizing the industry only helps grow the industry. So I'm pretty happy that Home Shop 18 has got it.